America is a land of bright lights and broken dreams, a place that delights and inspires a hunger for fame. It's also a place that some people find hard to leave, even after death.
My name's Gail Porter and I'm a skeptic.
My name is Chris Fleming and I am a sensitive.
It's my mission to investigate alleged sightings and hauntings of Hollywood ghosts.
A sensitive can detect paranormal events beyond the range of the 5 senses.
I wouldn't say I'm a non-believer, but I'm definitely a skeptic.
Together, our mission is to investigate the dead famous.
There's 4 shots. Bang, bang. Bang, bang.
Our search for the spirit of John Lennon would take us from the hotel synonymous with the rock and roll fraternity to the theatres and stadiums where the Beatles played.
It's definitely noise out.
To a castle on the Hudson that has lain derelict for years.
Are there any ghosts here, any spirits here? Come forward.
Oh God, somebody touched my leg.
Gail.
There's someone else. Show yourselves.
Would the spirit of the long dead Beatle really want to hold our hand?
John, come through.
John Lennon was one of the most important and seminal musicians the world has ever seen. As 1/4 of the Beatles, his creativity and talent have influenced generations of people the world over, and continue to do so. Despite being Liverpool born and bred, it was New York that he made his home in the last years of his life. And it was on the streets of this great city that he met his end, gunned down by deranged fan Mark Chapman outside his apartment block.
Strawberry Fields serves as a permanent, peaceful tribute to the man they called the head Beatle. Thousands of people visit here every year just to pay tribute to the man, his words and his music, and to wonder what could have been. John Lennon had just released his first new material in 5 years when he met his untimely end.
John Lennon once said that he wished he had been born in New York, that it was a toy box of the world. Such was his love for the city. So will his ghost linger amongst the skyscrapers, the parks, the hotels and restaurants of this beautiful city, a place that for John was home?
Our investigation was to be centred on the streets of New York, a city rich in connections to the former Beatle. Lennon had walked so many of the streets, stayed in so many of the hotels, and performed in so many of the venues and TV studios. If we were to find his spirit anywhere, surely it would be in this mythic and legendary city. Around the corner from the apartment block where Lennon lived was one of his favourite haunts, Cafe La Fortuna. He described it as a refuge, a haven, a grassroots contact with an unpretentious cafe. And it was here that I wanted to begin my investigation. I had arranged to meet Vincent Irwind, more affectionately known as Uncle Vinny, the owner of the cafe in Lennon's day, and a good friend to the singer. We sat at the exact table that Lennon used to sit at on his numerous visits to the cafe.
So how often did John used to come here?
Well, he started coming here the second week we were open, which was in June 1976. He was in here, except if he was out of town. If he was out of town, it's a different story. But if he was in New York, he was in here at least 2 or 3 times a week, and sometimes as much as 4 times.
What kind of a person was John Lennon?
He was a gentleman. He was had a good sense of humor, terrific sense of humor, and very intelligent, very smart.
And do you remember what you were doing when you heard that he'd been shot?
We were home that evening. My wife was packing. She had to leave to go to Italy. And the thing came in over the TV that he was shot. I only wish I could have been there when this guy was ready to pull the trigger on him over there and knock the gun out of his hand or something. But listen, the whole thing was what I would call a great tragedy, a real tragedy.
Do you think his spirit is still around?
Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. It's in this place, I'll tell you that.
Pray that Ireland will be free. Pray that Ireland will be free.
Chris had ventured further afield and out of the skyscrapers of Manhattan to the tenement buildings of the Bronx.
When hands hold up a glass to unite people.
He was meeting with Tom Doyle, a former bassist and guitarist with the Plastic Ono Band.
From the dreaded rifle's blast.
Tom appeared with John Lennon on the David Frost Show and played with him for 2 years.
The dreams of our ancestors fulfilled. Then Ireland will be free. Pray that Ireland will be free.
Tom, how did you meet John Lennon?
We were fans of the Beatles, but we were also musicians. And then I get the call, and strangely enough, it was at my friend Billy Manelli's house. And we get the call, and David Peel says, "Yup, I just signed with Apple Records. Can you guys be down at Record Plant?" To which, of course, we said, yes.
Yeah.
So that's the start.
What were your first impressions of John when you met him?
Sharp as a tack. Total gentleman and rock and roller. You know, he was, all I can say in one sentence, he was one of the boys. In other words, he didn't make us feel inferior. Like, here he is, a multimillionaire superstar of the world, and he just hung out with us, just as we're talking now.
So he's down to earth.
Totally. Totally.
How did New York inspire John?
Freedom.
Freedom?
Because just like he could hang out with us and he wasn't paranoid, and, you know, nobody was rushing, the one thing he said later on when I saw him again in '77 was that basically in New York, when he was living on Bank Street in the Village, he could ride around on a bike and people would say, "Hello, John, hello." That was it. He wasn't hustled, and he had a great time there.
Where were you when you first heard that John was shot?
That night I come home totally exhausted, doing my studying, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from one of my ex-wife's girlfriends, and she said, "John has been shot." And remember what I just told you? I had just written a letter to him that morning. So at that point, it was like, oh my God. John was the focal point of our lives, and when he died, the world was at a loss. He did become a martyr.
Do you still feel John's presence at all?
Every day. There's no way we would have survived for 30 years without his spirit guiding us. Yes, we have photographs with John all around us when we take them at Strawberry Fields. We go to Strawberry Fields every year for his birth and for his death.
If he's still here, still around, okay, where would we find him in New York?
Within every musician that sings a Beatles song.
I was encouraged by the recollections we had heard. Lennon loved New York, and New York loved Lennon. Light had deserted the streets of Manhattan, leaving behind a world of neon lights and smoke emanating from sidewalk vents. I wanted to start our search with that night in December 1980, the night of Lennon's death. We headed uptown towards Central Park and the apartment block where Lennon was fatally wounded. Built in the 1880s, the Dakota Building stands on the corner of 72nd Street and Central Park. Roman Polanski shot much of the macabre film Rosemary's Baby in the Dakota, and it's always attracted the high society of New York. But it's best known as the home of John Lennon in the late 1970s, and more morbidly, the site of his murder.
Now this is it, this is the Dakota Building. This is where John and Yoko had an apartment, and this is the place where John was murdered on the 8th of December 1980 at 10 to 11 at night. Mark Chapman, who was a crazed fan and a stalker and a publicity seeker, was waiting for him in the shadows, shoots John 4 times. He didn't even flinch, nothing. When they turned up to get him, he was apparently just standing calmly, just watching. Do you want to go and have a wee look?
All right, yeah, let's go look. Let's go look.
This is it. What happened was, Mark Chapman was apparently sitting here, reading Catcher in the Rye, and then when John came, he stood up, got into like a combat stance, shot him. 2 policemen turned up, took John in the back of their car to drive him to the Roosevelt Hospital, which is just a couple of blocks away, and he died in the car.
Let me see if I can find exactly where he got shot. I am picking up something over here. But he was over there, right? I'm getting this right here.
What are you
Right
picking
here.
up from there?
What I'm picking up is sadness, okay? I'm picking up that there's some type of trauma that occurred right here. Does it mean it was John Lennon? I don't know yet. The next thing I have to do is realize, okay, this is a hot spot for me. All right, John, show me where you fell. Come on, John, show me where you fell. I had a muscle tighten up back here. I'm wondering if he was shot, because he was shot, there was 4 shots, okay? If it was kind of like bang, 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 bang. Could be, was shot right here, was maybe shot right here. Because there's a lot of sadness here, but I'm getting the contractions here and then here again. So we know the guy just stood there.
Yeah.
John looked at him. He looked at the man that shot him. He kept walking in here, and I could feel his path here, going through here, with the contractions that occurred here, and with looking at the guy that shot him, and there was this stare at both of them. And when they locked, John felt a lot of sadness and a lot of like, why? I do have to believe that, hope I'm right, that this is where he got shot.
The sun rose across the New York skyline, and with it came day 2 of our investigation into the spirit of John Lennon. Lennon had an open mind to the paranormal. He claimed to have spotted a flying saucer while looking out of the window in the building where he lived. He also claimed to have seen a spectral figure walking down the corridors of the Dakota, which he referred to as Crying Lady Ghost. The question was, would we be lucky enough to get contact with him? Our first stop was the scene of one of the Beatles' most celebrated concerts, a baseball ground that is home to the Mets. The Beatles played their second concert at Shea Stadium in August 1965 to 50,000 screaming fans. It was a spectacular success. Would John return here, the scene of one of his greatest triumphs?
Bob, the Beatles performed here. What year was that they performed here?
1965.
And you were here?
I was here. There was one phenomenal thing that I saw that night that I don't think anybody had ever seen before. Cameras going off. It was like strobe lights, because I don't think anyone had ever had a rock show outdoors before. Everybody was shooting their cameras when the Beatles came out, and it was like lights going on all over the place. They came out running, and they ran out to second base. So this is where the stage was, right on...
Right here?
Yeah, second base is roughly right here. And the stage was laid out. It was a very small stage.
They obviously must have had a change room or a room where they hung out backstage.
Well, they were in the umpire's room, which is the officials' room for baseball. And it's a very small room. And while they were here, all they did was sit in this little room, which we'll go to, and didn't cause any muss or fuss. They did have a few drinks before the show went on, but the show did go on, and they did perform.
As the comfort of light diminished from the sky, the staff of Shea Stadium deserted us, leaving Chris and I alone. We split up to investigate separately. Chris made his way out onto the pitch area to try and connect with Lennon, whilst I headed to the backstage area.
Think the Beatles, think Lennon. Lennon and the Beatles. All right, spirits. Help me tap into the energy that was here the day of the concert, the exact moment that they were on stage in the middle of their performance. Bring me back to that time and location so that I can record that. Because I know it's recorded here.
And now come out into the corridors. It is the sort of place that you think it's definitely a noise. Hello? It's a radiator.
Come on. If any of the Beatles are here right now, John, if you're here, George, anybody still here, please speak to me or let me hear a little bit of that concert, of that moment. Record it now. All right, I'm starting to connect. I've got something here. Something. Let me see what this is.
I don't know how to get out. Okay. Be calm, be calm.
Wow. See, I'm laughing. The reason why I'm laughing is because I'm sensing what they were feeling when they were up here. They were laughing. And the reason why they were laughing was because they were very happy, but they couldn't even hear themselves. They couldn't even hear themselves sing. I'll tell you what, I would have loved to have been at this concert. What are you doing?
How are you doing?
Good.
What'd you get? Anything?
A lot.
You got a lot?
Yeah.
Did you? What'd you get?
I felt them come out on stage, and they got placed, and then they kicked into the music, okay? I mean, I don't say there's emotions that made me want to cry or anything, but laugh, definitely, because of the excitement and everything. The crowd, it was a piercing sound, but I was able to get past that and actually just pick up some of the members of the band.
Chris seemed to be picking up place memory, but made no real contact with Lennon. And apart from the natural sounds you would expect in a deserted stadium, I was disappointed by the evening's events. But the night was not over. I had one more place I wanted Chris to investigate.
This is it, the Hotel Chelsea, and this place is absolutely full of history and stories and everything. Lots of famous people have stayed here. Bob Dylan, Janis Joplin, Arthur Miller, Leonard Cohen. Also, John Lennon stayed here for a time.
Good.
And it's supposed to be very haunted.
Oh, I like that.
So put you in a room, see if you can get some sort of spirit of John Lennon. Would be great.
Well, if it's haunted, like you said, I'll get something.
Okay. Enjoy your stay.
I'll see you later.
I'll see you in the morning.
Bye-bye.
The Hotel Chelsea is a unique landmark in New York, a place with a fascinating history. It came into its own in the 60s and 70s, attracting an eclectic mix of artists, musicians, writers, and actors.
The energy created in this hotel far exceeds New York or the United States. It's global.
Its famous guest list includes Quentin Crisp, Dylan Thomas, Arthur Miller, Mark Twain, and Bob Dylan. Yoko Ono stayed at the hotel before they moved to the Dakota. Anybody who is anybody has been a guest here. Lennon himself lived in the Chelsea Hotel.
John Lennon stayed here, I believe, sometime in the 70s. He was looking for a permanent apartment in New York, and he found one in the Dakota. John Lennon stayed here probably because of Bob Dylan. He knew that this hotel was friendly to the arts and to music. And these people feel very comfortable in their own environment where they are accepted and appreciated.
The question is John Lennon still there? A place many believe to be haunted.
There are many, many people that believe that there are ghosts still in the walls, that there's ghosts still in the building. I don't know if it's ghosts. I don't know what it is, but I'm a believer.
Surely a place with such a rich musical and artistic heritage would be somewhere the singer may return to.
All right, I'm actually at the Chelsea Hotel. This is the room. Let me just take a walk around, see what's around here. You hear a lot of noises, like elevator constantly going up. I actually like this place. Don't think there's any ghosts here? Yes. Earlier when I checked in and I walked down here, I felt like there was a female ghost, a spirit, down this hallway. Felt like right down here. She would walk right across here, occasionally. I don't know who she is, but she's very old. She's been here a long time. This woman's been here a long time. I'm not picking anything up in the hallways.
Chris set up his laptop and speakers in an experiment to try and pick up EVPs. It wasn't long before strange occurrences began to happen.
You gotta be kidding me. Did I? No. I did not hit my head against, Did you hear that? There is something over there. There's something over there right now. Man, it's loud. It sounds like someone was coming through this wall. God! Oh! God damn it! Stop it! Oh my God. That's not funny, okay? It is not funny. All right, let me explain to you what just happened. I felt as if someone just jumped on the bed. Okay, jumped on the bed. That's what startled me. Oh my God.
So how did it go last night?
Oh, I liked it a lot.
Did you?
Yes, very
Did you get lots
active.
of activity?
Very active. I did 3 experiments. So while I'm listening to the EVPs, I had to put the headphones on to really hear what I was getting. Something tapped me on the right ear. Now, at first, I thought maybe I'd banged myself right against the wall here on the baseboard. But then when I realized I didn't, I jumped off the bed and kind of looked around. No. I did not hit my head against... When I started listening to it again, something jumped on the bed. You know when you have a dog or a cat or a small child jumps on a bed? Okay, you
Did
can
you
feel
get
it.
all this on film?
Yes, I did. You know, it's kind of scary stuff. There's something over there right now. It sounded like someone was coming through this wall. So it was very active.
Blimey, you had a great night.
We left the energy and buzz of the city behind and headed south through New York State. Our destination, a derelict and desolate castle that sits upon an isolated island in the middle of the Hudson River, Bannerman's Castle.
You see it, Nick? That must be it.
This is the remnant of Scotsman Francis Bannerman's fortress, built not as a home, but as an arsenal for his immense collection of weapons. The Beatles used a nearby airport hangar to rehearse for their tours. Would John come back to the area where he was at a creative high? Yet this is not the only connection Lennon has with the region. John Lennon claimed he once saw a UFO from his apartment window, hovering above the Hudson Valley, where Bannerman's Island is. Would his spirit return to a place that fascinated him personally and spiritually? The region is renowned for its paranormal energy, and my hopes were high that we may come into contact with John Lennon here. It's a building that darkness emanates from. Its dilapidated walls and crumbling pathways pulse with a sinister history, mostly tragic. But if local legend and rumours are to be believed, this is an island whose secrets are far darker than mere history. It's believed to be one of the most haunted locations in America.
It's really creepy. Look, you see it there? It looks like there's people up there. In the windows.
Yeah, you're right.
That's horrible. Oh, we're going to have some fun here tonight, aren't we?
I'm excited about this one.
We met up with Neil Kaplan, a historian with an intimate knowledge of the island's myths and legends. The island was host to numerous ghostly stories. Could one of these spirits that reportedly reside here be Lennon himself? We were about to find out.
Could you give us a brief history of this island and this castle?
Yes, I can. Well, first of all, Bannerman's Island is not the real name of the island. The real name is Palapel Island, and it's the name that you're going to find on your charts here in the river. The actual castle didn't come about to about 1901 to 1918. The island is reported to have been haunted, especially by the American native Indians. They really wouldn't step foot on Palapel Island, especially during the time when the settlers were coming up from Europe to settle here. The Dutch would settle here in this area, and they were very superstitious. They would leave their freshman sailors drunk here on the island as a way to appease the goblins that were here so they could sail safely up the Hudson River, and on their return trip they would come and pick them up. There are stories about ghost ships that sunk off the South Flats of the island and how people could hear the voices of the men going down on the ship, and these are all folklore and folk tale, and a lot of it comes from the early part of the 1600s and 1700s.
As darkness fell, we were alone on the island, with only the sound of a distant rail track breaking the silence.
Let's split up, go to some different places here and see what we can find. Okay, see if we can find John Lennon.
Remember we were wandering around with Neil earlier. Is there any particular spots that you were very interested in that he was telling us about?
Well, I did like when we were downstairs where he said it used to be the old tugboat, okay, where the bell used to go off. I want to go there first. I want to see if I can get any type of sounds, whether it's place memory, whether it's anything like that, see if I can get it on tape. Here, then take this. This is a walkie-talkie. Okay.
It's not going to protect me, is it?
You know that if anything happens, just call me, I'll come running. I want to go downstairs into the
Well,
basement.
then I'm going to go and wander around outside.
Okay. You ready? This is so much different than anything we've done before, isn't
No,
it?
that's why I think I'm scared.
Just a scream away.
Oh, great, thanks. Oh, God. Right, okay. Pitch black.
I'd say if I was a ghost, I'd definitely like hanging in this place. It's so big.
I'm getting lost.
If there are any spirits here, come forward and speak to me now. Let yourself be known. Speak now.
Hello? I think I've taken the loop. Somebody there? Okay, I don't like it. I think I don't think I've got lost. Oh, shit. Chris?
Yeah, I'm coming.
What's the point in having a bloody walkie-talkie?
Yeah, what's up, Gail?
Oh, I think I'm lost.
You're lost?
There's loads of noises and I don't like it. I can't find my...
Are you okay? Gail.
It's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just lost.
Gotta be very careful here.
We have got
An emergency going on here.
What's going on?
Train's coming. Speak loud.
All the batteries got drained from my flashlight, so we're in the pitch black.
All right, I'm coming over now.
Oh God, somebody touched my leg.
What's your point? Where you at?
Gail. All right, I'm coming.
We saw a figure. Somebody touched my leg over there.
Fresh
We
batteries?
saw just like a figure, and we thought it was one of you lot coming up.
Where exactly was the figure?
The figure on the path was startling, and I felt unnerved. Could it have been John Lennon, or a more malevolent energy?
All right, well, let me see if you guys go do what you gotta do. I'll see what I get. I'll get her. That's not like her. I mean, she's pretty brave. Okay, who is the figure that Gail saw? If there's really someone here, you obviously want to make your presence known, so speak to me now. Speak now if you're here. Hello, is there anybody here? It's like another path that they just kind of cleared out. I want to find a place to sit. Oh, this will be good. Is there any spirit here? Anybody here? Is John Lennon here? John Lennon, are you here?
John Lennon. Okay, did you hear that?
Just felt like my visual player was vibrating.
Someone was there. There's actually no one up there. Look. Shit.
Present yourself to us so that we can communicate with you. I'm starting to pick up something right now. It's the same spirit that I felt there before. Are there any ghosts here? Any spirits here? Come forward.
There's someone up there.
I just heard a scream, too. Let's go check it out.
Hello?
Yeah, what's up now?
No, honestly, I'm not being funny, but there's someone down here and there's no one down here. And then my battery's gone in the camera and it just went dead. And we're scared now. Could you come and get us, please?
Yeah, where are you at?
We're down by the lake. There's definitely a noise up there, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Was there anyone up there when you came down?
No.
I promise you, there was footsteps coming down there. And then we definitely heard steps and we freaked out a little bit and thought, fine, and we thought someone was going to come down. And then it happened right afterwards, and my battery just completely went. No warning, no flashing battery sign, nothing, just went dead.
Well, you know, right when you called me, I was communicating with one of the spirits, which is female, and there's a male spirit. I think there's 4 spirits. And I said, are you going to have anything happen? Can you give us a sign? One said maybe, the other one says, I think not. And the other one was like, was still trying to answer me. And I basically said, make something happen, right? No more than maybe 20 seconds is when you called me, something happened.
We returned to New York, to the streets that Lennon had so loved in the later years of his tragically short-lived life, and headed for Strawberry Fields, a beautiful area of Central Park named after Lennon's song Strawberry Fields Forever, in honour of the singer. I had arranged for us to meet Helene Aiulo, a clairaudient who says she's in almost constant contact with John's spirit. Maybe she would be the person to finally bring us into contact with his spirit.
Yes, I am.
And how did you first come about meeting John in the afterlife?
I see him. I've seen him in spirit.
You've seen him physically, you've seen him?
In spirit, yes. But that's not just it. I'm clairaudient. I do hear him speaking.
You can hear his voice?
Yes, sometimes, yes.
Now, when you say you speak to John, what does he say to you? Is he happy?
He's happy with himself, yes, because he's more of a better person than he was on Earth, he feels. He has not left. He's among us, and he also...
He's among us now?
Yes, he is.
And how...
In spirit, and he's trying to find a way to come back.
This evening, I've organised for us to go to the Electric Lady, a recording studio downtown, and I want to see if we can try and contact John. Would you come along and help us out?
Oh, I'd love to.
We drove south through Midtown Manhattan to rendezvous with a man called Tim Beasley. Tim is a professional and accomplished musician who has a distinct resemblance to John Lennon. And he claims that Lennon's spirit likes to jump into his body at will.
Oh, yes, I've had psychic abilities. I've actually sought communion with John and going to places like Abbey Road Studios and more or less communing with him by touching the wrought iron hand railings at Abbey Road. I first felt a physical, spiritual connection with him then.
I had arranged to meet him on West 8th Street at a legendary studio owned by Jimi Hendrix. Electric Lady Studios was set up in 1970 and became the first major recording studio to be operated by an artist. Sadly, Jimmy died within a month of the studio opening, but it's said his spirit lives on in the building. The studio is host to a number of paranormal stories, the most famous being the guitar track that appeared on a Clash recording overnight, even though nobody had been in the building. John Lennon used the studio and recorded a number of tracks here. I hope that a building with such a rich rock heritage may finally put us in touch with the legendary singer. Now, we're in Jimi Hendrix's old studio, and we're going to try and contact John.
Okay.
But I've been told that Jimi Hendrix's spirit is supposed to still linger here. Mm-hmm. So there's a chance that we might get his spirit coming through. But how do we start? What we're going to do now?
What I'd like to do is, if we can, because could we hold hands?
Yeah.
That's one way to get them in really quick. We're trying to contact the spirits that are here. Jimmy, if you're here, Jimi Hendrix, John Lennon, whoever, show yourselves. Give us a sign. Give us a sign. Come through, John. Come through. Come on. Come on, they want to see you. Come on. Come on.
No.
Come on.
No.
It's all going back
What is
to
that?
England.
What is that? What is that?
It's going back to
What is that?
England. It's your home country.
No, wait a minute.
John, I can feel you. Come through. Come through. Come through. Hello. John. John, are you here? Answer me. John. John, I feel you. Come through. Come through. He's here. John, would you say hello? You're taking my energy. Say hello. Come on, John. Say something to show them, to show the world. You've been wanting this.
I got real cold there a minute
feel
ago.
like
I like to
this?
froze to death all of a sudden.
Still there. It's right here, right between my hand and yours, Tim. It's really heavy right here.
What is the heck is going on? That's a good.
Let him in. Let him in.
Oh, that's a good buzz. I gotta tell you, that's
Let
a
him
good
in.
buzz. Oh,
Let him in.
I can't see. What's going on?
Just let him in.
Oh, my shoulders are hurting.
Just let him in.
God, what in the heck is my shoulders
That'll
hurting?
pass. That'll pass. Just let him in.
Oh, it hurts so. Oh, God, it's hurting.
It'll pass. Let him in. Go beyond the pain before.
What in the hell is going on with my elbows and my shoulders here?
There'll be no pain. There's going to be no pain. Let John in. Let him in.
John. Yeah. What?
Hello, John? Hello?
Let John speak.
John.
Is there anything specific that you want to tell the world?
Just live your life the best you can. Don't take life, give life. That's all. That's all you have to do. We're all going to end up together. Best be yourself. Just keep peace in your heart. God almighty, what in the world?
What's wrong? Your shoulder.
My arms and wrists and elbows are hurting like a...
Yeah, I know.
God, what in the world?
You'll be fine. Just takes up a few minutes and it'll go away.
The channeling had come to an end. Tim appeared to have experienced something, but the skeptic in me doubted it was the spirit of John Lennon. Morning came to Manhattan, and with it a heavy mist. We left behind the imposing New York skyline, the buildings engulfed in a strange, sinister fog. As we stood on deck looking back on the disappearing city, we discussed how our investigation had gone.
A bit disappointed. How did you think we did on this one?
Well, you know, I like the Chelsea Hotel because I had some interesting things happen there with experiments that I was doing. Bannerman's Island, I was disappointed.
I love that. Running around in the dark.
Did we find John Lennon's ghost? I'm not too sure about that. But I do know that I definitely felt his spirit.
I didn't realise how much people in New York absolutely love John Lennon, and he's kind of like an adopted son in a way, isn't he? So his spirit definitely does live on here, much more than I thought it did.